Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining another DABCC live webinar. I'm very excited about this webinar today because not only do we have RES software on, and they're going to talk about some really neat new technology they have, but we're also going to talk about this emerging sort of trend of consumerization of IT and, in really treating users as consumers. One of the things I've always loved about RES software is they've never looked at things as, okay, I'm going to deal with the back end. I'm going to concentrate on what the administrator wants. They've always looked at it, how can we please the end user? Because the end user is our customer, and that is the most important thing. And if the end user is happy, we're happy as IT, right? So, and I really love that their philosophy of looking at that. Now, in doing that, don't get me wrong, they don't forget the admins, right? But they make the admin tools easy, but they also make the user experience really amazing. And that's what I love about one of the main things I love about RES software. So, with no further ado, we're going to jump into this webinar. And let me go ahead and minimize this so I can actually see the screen here. And today we have Bob with us, and I'll let him introduce himself, but he's the VP of Product Management over at RES Software. And Bob, can you just give a brief introduction of who you are and what you do at RES, and then we'll get started. Oh, but before that, I almost forgot. We always make this an audience participation project, guys. So please, we don't have a tremendous amount of slides. We are going to do a demo also, but we really want you guys to ask questions. So there's a questions piece of the little sidebar of the GoToWebinar that jaunts off from the right or wherever you have it on your screen. And please use the questions piece of GoToWebinar to ask us questions. And then periodically throughout this webinar, I will actually interrupt Bob and say, hey, is there anything, or, hey, let's answer these questions. So that's what makes these things really interactive and a lot of fun, too. So please use that questions piece, and that'll make this, again, a lot more interactive and a lot more fun. So with no further ado, Bob, can you do a quick introduction of yourself, and then let's get into the webinar itself.
Yes, of course. First of all, Doug, thanks for having us. I'm looking forward to have a good conversation with the audience when we talk about the consumerization of IT and the follow me data concept. So my role within RES Software is that I'm responsible for the product management organization, and we are responsible for all the products within RES Software, whether they are the free products or the paid products, of course. Before I worked at RES Software, I have learned a lot in the field as an enterprise architect, so I was one of those IT administrators or IT architects that had to deal with the user experience. And also I had to deal with all the complex solutions to deal with the user experience. So that is my background. Now at RES Software, I worked there for 3.5 years. I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm able to please those IT administrators to make them more productive and to have them serve their consumers. So that's me as Bob the Kousemaeker. So today we wanted to discuss the subject consumerization of IT. We will not go into many details of the consumerization of IT. It's a well-spoken subject. But we will then touch the follow me data, which is a kind of result of consumerization of IT. So first I would like to start with a very quick introduction of the company RES Software for those that don't know us yet. So it's a software company that is based in the Netherlands. They started in the Netherlands developing software in 1999. And the initial product that RES Software had was RES PowerFuse, that is renamed now to Workspace Manager. And that was already one of those products that was really focused on serving the consumer, but providing a very easy to use solution for the IT administrator to do that job. In the time after 99, we have built a lot of other products. So we have an RES Automation Manager product really focused around the IT administrator to make his work a lot easier and to automate as much as he can. We have a solution called RES Virtual Desktop Extender, which allows you to merge local applications into remote desktops. So you can see it as a kind of reverse seamless technology. We have a free offering called RES Baseline Desktop Analyzer, which is a cloud-based service running in the Microsoft Azure cloud that allows you to really analyze your infrastructures, but then again from the user perspective. So we will look into the user session to what the user is actually using, like applications, data, etc. So you can use that information to make right decisions on any user project that you are doing in the company. We have many patents active and pending, and we are dealing with those patents and also research to new technologies in an RES labs environment where we really focus on new and future technology. We have offices around the world, and we also have customers around the world. So over 2,500 customers, many deployments in more than 27 countries. As you can see, there are a few selected customers with logos that you probably will recognize, and we have key partnerships with companies like Microsoft, Intel, VMware, and Citrix. So that is all about RES software. So if we look to today's IT trends and challenges, we see a lot of kind of macro trends. So the consumerization of IT is really the story about people are taking control over their IT. We cannot stop it anymore. So more and more IT becomes available for the consumer. They can buy it in the shops, they can use it without any manual. A good example is an iPad, for example. So they are bringing those devices to the office, and we cannot stop them. And they ask from IT that we just help them using those devices in an enterprise environment. Also, a lot of new cloud-based technologies arise. So there are more and more line of business applications, such as Salesforce, that run from the cloud but still have to touch the endpoint, have to touch the endpoint that the IT administrator needs to serve. So the combination of the consumerization of IT, so bringing all those kind of devices, and also the new type of services from the cloud, will create this hybridization of the desktop. So we will end up with a desktop that should be very mobile, very flexible. People want it to work anywhere they are. Of course, you do need some connection for particular functionality. But aside from that desktop, whether it's a laptop or a physical desktop, they also now see the desktop transforming into an iPad or into a mobile device. So it's not anymore the desktop, which is the iron box. It's really the desktop, which is the square that I'm working in. And this is really challenging for IT because they do need some tools. They do need solutions to serve the consumers on all those different kind of devices, in all those different kind of scenarios. And that's what we in RES software call the context of the user is changing a lot due to all those different kind of devices. And I think that you have the same kind of experience, and you are also dealing in your work with these kind of challenges. Is that correct?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, completely.
And if we then see what's happening, and these are just some figures from various analyst companies, is that 66% of the workers, they just expect to work remotely. So they don't go to the office. They are either on the road or they're working from home, as Doug is today. So we need to serve these different work styles. We don't have just desktops on a desk which are bound to one person. We have laptops, we have tablets, and of course still a lot of PCs. But we want to use them with the same functionality in the same way. And the application delivery also, it's not just an MSI anymore that you just install. We have application virtualization, we have browser-based applications, we have streamed applications. So it becomes quite complex, but still we need this technology to be able to serve the consumer. Because of the complexity, we see productivity loss. So the desktop is getting more expensive every day. Because of the complexity, there are all kinds of compliance breaches going on, which will cost us a lot of money. And also the complexity will increase the labor cost because it takes much more time to do your work, to serve the users in this more complex infrastructure. So we think that IT organizations should be able to manage, secure, but also automate IT. If they are capable of automating as much as they can, then they can manage and secure the infrastructure, and they need tools for this to do it in a very efficient way. more technology should not always mean more complexity. So RES Software is really focused on delivering easy-to-use tools that will ease the work of an IT administrator, that will offload the IT organization so they can focus on those more strategic projects instead of what we call keeping the lights on, maintaining the IT infrastructure. So we think IT is all about the consumer, and I deliberately say consumer because there are still a lot of IT organizations that are talking about their users, and we should really see our users as consumers. What if they are allowed to decide in which shop they will buy their IT material? If we change the view of an IT organization towards a shop that should please the consumer, then we will be able to serve them the way they want to be served, instead of that IT organizations tell them how they should work. And to see the consumer in an IT infrastructure, you really need to think about the context. What is the context of this user? I was talking about those different work styles, and the context of a user is not only the identity of the user that you can figure out from an Active Directory. It's also about where this user is working, what type of device is being used, maybe even what time of day. What we need to serve the user are those applications, but also the data, the printers and personal settings even for that particular user. So it's not only about delivering applications or taking care of the profile, it's really the combination of all these services that make a consumer happy in his working environment. So because of the IT consumerization, there's a lot of talk about follow me data, and many of you in this call will see around you on the internet there are many companies focusing or changing their focus towards follow me data concepts, also the Dropbox kind of solutions. We do think that it's very important to take care of this challenge, because in a traditional infrastructure where people had their Windows desktops, we always were very capable of managing applications, data printers and settings. But the data is the most important piece of what they need. The applications they can install themselves, or even if you have different type of devices, applications are those device types that have their own native applications. But the data, that makes it unique, so you do need the data as well. So now with the consumerization of IT, you will see people bringing their own devices, and they will ask IT organizations, allow me to access my Word document that I just worked on my corporate desktop, to touch it and to use it on my iPad as well, or maybe even to access or forward the information through my mobile phone. So therefore, the data component is very important. There are a lot of technologies that allow you to really publish an entire desktop on an iPad. I'm not sure if there are many people that actually use this technology. I've tried it myself several times. It's great to see that it works.
It's very cool.
Currently, the Windows desktops are not yet built for fingers. So yes, it works. It's cool that we can do it. It's not the way people want to work. People want to use native applications on the iPad. Let's say they want to use Pages to read or even edit a Word document. Those applications are already there. The data is not yet available on these devices. So that is really the challenge that we as IT organizations need to cope with. How do I manage the data on the different type of devices, and also how do I take care of the security of that particular data? And the security is an important piece in enterprise infrastructures. If you look to many consumer solutions that are out there, and then I'm talking about Google Drive, SkyDrive, Dropbox, and there are many more, these are great functional solutions. But if I look to the encryption or the security of the data being served through these solutions, then suddenly it might not fit the enterprise security policy. So the Dropbox data is unencrypted, stored on my device, on my laptop. So any administrator that has access to my laptop can look at my data. We think that enterprise solutions that offer a follow me data concept, they should take into consideration the security policies of many enterprises. And that does mean that you do need to encrypt data, that you store offline on those devices. It also means that you do need a way to remotely wipe that particular data, that enterprise data, on those devices. So the security is a very, very important topic of follow me data in an enterprise infrastructure. So RES Software has a product called RES Hyperdrive. It's a product that you can download today. It's a final product, so it's not a beta product or something not yet available. You can really download it after this call and start playing with it. And this product is an on-premise solution that allow you to share files on the go for enterprise users. So you can share files on all your devices, but you can also share files with external people, so you can collaborate on documents. So I'll quickly explain how it works, and then I will actually show you the product. So personally, I also say seeing is believing, and not only talking about it. So it runs as a virtual appliance in your data center. It's a Linux-based virtual appliance, and you will be able to set up this Linux-based virtual appliance within 15 minutes. So I really encourage you to download the software after this call and experience the ease of use and the ease of setup of this virtual appliance in your data center.
And Bob, what does that run on? Does it run Hyper-V, VMware, Zen server?
It's a very good question, and the answer is yes, yes, yes. So we do support Hyper-V, we do support Zen server, we do support VMware vSphere. So we deliver native images for all those three hypervisors. Perfect. On the endpoint, the solution creates a virtual drive on your computer. So it's not a directory, it's an additional drive. Especially for enterprise users that are used to have an additional H drive for the home drive or an additional G drive for the groups drive. It's just another drive. So you don't have to educate them to work differently with the data on their machine. And then by using this drive, by simply dragging and dropping information in the drive or save as into that drive, the RES Hyperdrive technology will automatically encrypt everything that is stored locally on your computer. That means that if you lose your computer and somebody has administrative access to your computer by your own IT administrator or even by somebody smart enough to install another Windows partition and access your computer as an administrator or access your data as an administrator, still they will not be able to access your data. It's encrypted based on certificates that are linked to the user. So only the user can access that encrypted information. Also, it's automatically stored offline. So everything that I store on my laptop will be available in an offline situation. Once I'm online, it's automatically synchronized to my central data center on Windows and Macintosh machines. So everything that I store in RES Hyperdrive is automatically backed up to my data center. So this even prevents you from having all kind of backup solutions in addition to this solution for corporate data. Also, everything that is synchronized centrally is automatically mobilized. That means that it is automatically available on iPhone, Android, BlackBerry and Windows Phone, but also on the iPad tablet and the Android tablet. So for the end user, and I will show you in a second, it's just like using a share. But for IT, it's suddenly the ability to provide the Dropbox experience, to provide backup, to provide the mobilization of data towards all those devices that they would like to use. And in addition to that, people can also share information from their hyperdrive with external contacts. So you can have group hyperdrives within your company, but you can also share information with people outside your company in collaborative projects where you work together with another company during a specific period of time. So you can share information through a web interface, and they can even upload documents or change documents through that same web interface. So let me show you the product.
Hey,
Does it make sense, Doug? It is something that you are going to install after this call as well.
Yeah, I'm very curious about this stuff. I've played with it a little bit. I understand it, but I have a couple questions, which are almost clarification questions for the audience out there too. Is that a lot of people, when they think about this, they think of Dropbox because that's a very well known entity, right? And they
Yeah,
say, "Oh,
correct.
well, I already have Dropbox." Now, you sort of talked about some of the differences, the encryption, the security, things of that nature. But you have this virtual appliance. What is the main purpose of that virtual appliance? Can you talk a bit about that? So in other words, yeah. Can you just? I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah, that's no problem. So the virtual appliance is really the, let's say, data broker between all the devices out there and the data that is stored in your own data center. So we do not store information in the cloud. The IT organizations, they have the virtual appliance using their own corporate storage infrastructure and using that virtual appliance as a broker, as a gateway to that data from the outside.
Okay.
So it's really in between the devices, the users of the data, and the actual data being stored in your own data center. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, and that's really what I was trying to get at. Also, is that there is at no time the data is actually being stored in the cloud. It's actually stored in the customer's data center, but yet they're getting the sort of quote unquote Dropbox experience from it. But yet they're not getting the Dropbox insecurities. Where hey, my data, Lord knows where it is, and no, Lord knows who has access to this information, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And in addition to that, because the virtual appliance is running in your own data center, we also provide you the ability to link the hyperdrive access to your Active Directory. So all those consumer, and that's how I normally make the difference between consumer solutions and enterprise solutions, is that enterprise solutions are able to use the enterprise directory services for authentication and not a personal account that I have on Hotmail or Gmail. And by having this link to your Active Directory, also revoking user accounts, deleting user accounts, will have direct effect on whether they can still access their data because it's linked to that particular Active Directory user account.
You
And
bet.
also again, that Active Directory is stored inside your own data center. So you don't need to set up all kind of complex federation solutions to make it work. So therefore, currently, if we look to the products that are out there and that are available today, we are one of the few that have a full 100% on-premise solution that will give full control to IT organizations. You are not depending on any cloud service out there. And I think that's very important for a lot of companies if they really want to be in control.
Makes total sense. Now, with this virtual appliance, can you have multiple virtual appliances, let's say for fault tolerance? Do you need that? Can you put them in different geographical locations? Do you need that? Things like that.
Yeah, so you can set up multiple virtual appliances side by side. The functionality that is load balanced and made available between those multiple virtual appliances will be the access to the web interface, the authentication. The actual data is a one-on-one relationship between one virtual appliance and the data on your storage infrastructure. So if you do want to have a higher available solution, then you can use the high availability solutions from the hypervisors themselves to make them available. So we are fully compliant with those high availability solutions. The reason why it is not by default high available is that even if your virtual appliance goes down, because there's local storage and there's synchronization, the user will only mention that the synchronization is not actually doing its work during the time that the hypervisor is down. The ease of rip and replace that we provide within the virtual appliance will allow you to rebuild a virtual appliance, link it to your existing storage within 15 minutes. So you probably have to cope with 15 minutes no synchronization instead of really no functionality. So if the hypervisor is going down, if the virtual appliance is going down, people won't see any difference in the way how they work.
Perfect. And that's the other question I had is, what about downtime? When of course, with virtualization, you shouldn't have any 100% downtime, but, how would that manage? And you answered that question. Question here from the audience is it easy to install where, and they use the old name, I love it, is it easy to install in a network where RES PowerFuse is used?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So currently the product is quite standalone product, but you will see in the upcoming service release of Workspace Manager 2012 that there will be tight integration with this RES Hyperdrive product. So you will be able to set policies on all those client devices through the Workspace Manager interface. And we will even provide you, which really makes it a unique combination. So it's a very good question. Thanks for that question. We will even allow you to migrate from your existing home drive or even Dropbox if your current users are using Dropbox to a hyperdrive, and that will be managed through Workspace Manager as well. So yes, it can work seamlessly together with formerly known PowerFuse and currently known as Workspace Manager.
Perfect, perfect. So guys out there listening, if you have any more questions, please use the questions piece to go to webinar. Bob? With no further ado, let's get to the demo.
Cool. So this is my work laptop. I'm using it as my own laptop, so it's my data that I have here. As you can see, this is already Windows 8, so the product works fine on Windows 8. Currently, if you look at my computer, I have various hyperdrives. So for an end user, it just looks like a share that they are used to in a corporate infrastructure. So, for example, the demonstration hyperdrive, now the end drive is available. You can make libraries on your hyperdrive. So if you have multiple hyperdrives linked to your computer, you can have libraries so you can very quickly index and search through your entire hyperdrive infrastructure. You have documents. You have folders. It just works the way it works. The only difference is that if I now right mouse click on a file, I suddenly have the hyperdrive tools available that allow me to send a link to this file to somebody outside my organization. So I will send it to myself so we can see the end result if I open my email. And as you can see, it's not just sending a link to a file. Because this file is already centrally available, because it's automatically synchronized, it can be shared through a web interface, but you can add options like I want to be notified if somebody's actually downloading this file. So it happens often to me that people are requesting versions of software. Can you please send me an evaluation version of the software? And I need to send it within 5 minutes. So what I then do is, okay, but send me an email once they have actually downloaded this file. So then I know that they have touched the file, and then I know that the pressure they put on me was valid or not. So that's a useful feature. You can also have the link to that particular file expire automatically after 1 day or 60 days, or don't let it expire at all. You can set the amount of downloads that are allowed. So if people forward the link to that file, it can only be downloaded once, and then the link will automatically be disabled. And you can even add an additional password to that link. So this is very intuitive for users. They just can now send a file to somebody else, and people can access that file through a file link. Everything that I do change in this file is automatically synchronized. So down here you will see a tray icon, and as you can see, there are now a few arrows that automatically detect a change, and that they will synchronize the change back to the central data center. So automatically the change that was made on this file is automatically available on all the devices that are owned and that have access to my hyperdrives. The same for folders. So sharing folders is just as easy. You simply go to the folder and you can share a folder link to also somebody. And as you can see, there are two additional options for folders. So I can allow people to upload information into that same folder. So that's the way how you can very easily collaborate with other people outside your organization. If you look to the dashboard of the client. So by double-clicking the tray icon, you have the dashboard, you have an overview of all the drives that you have access to. From the dashboard, you can also start inviting people inside your organization to also have access to your hyperdrive. And they will have exactly the same access through the Windows Explorer interface or the Finder interface on Mac to the data that you want to share with them. And again, it's just as easy as sharing it with external people that will receive a file link. And if you invite people now to your hyperdrive, they will get the drive in addition to their already owned drives in their hyperdrive dashboard. And they will appear in their Explorer interface. So it's a very intuitive solution for people to use. Another great solution is that...
Bob, before
Yes.
you switch over, can you force those settings through a policy? Question from
Yes, so as of service release 1 that we expect end of August, you can do that through either Workspace Manager, or we will also provide you an ADMX file so you can manage that through the Active Directory group policy objects.
And one more question: can you configure a maximum of space to the virtual drive? And if yes, how much is the minimum and maximum?
Currently, it's unlimited. By the end of this year, you will be able to set quotas either on the central side, but also on the local side. So if you know upfront that your laptop will not exceed your storage in your data center, you will also be able to set up quotas on the endpoints.
Perfect. Thank you.
Cool. So another part of the hyperdrive is the way how you can add files in email. So let's say I'm going to DABCC.com. I'm going to attach a file, any file. We will automatically detect that you are attaching a file to your email, and we offer you to convert this file to a link. So in this case, I say yes, please do. And the file will be converted into a link and will be removed from your email. So you don't have to cope with those Exchange server limitations anymore. So any file that you add to email messages can be converted to links instead of attaching the actual file to the email. And in addition to that, you also have options, the same type of option that you had with sharing a file through the Explorer experience, where you can say notify me, expire this link, etc., etc. And you can also have automatically conversion of files into links when they exceed 5 megabytes, for example. So we have also integration with Microsoft Office 2007 and 2010. So you can also use the hyperdrive to share information through your Outlook experience. And if people receive a file link, they will receive a file link and they will receive a message where they can simply click the file link and they will be redirected to a web page, and on that particular web page the download will start automatically. So the additional text that you were able to add to the file being shared will be displayed and people can download the file from here. So it's a very easy way to use hyperdrive. So now I've shown you the experience on a Windows desktop. I've shown you the experience from within Outlook. Another interface that we provide is a web interface. So if you have a device without clients but you just have a browser, you still have access to all the information. So this is the web dashboard. As you can see, I have the same hyperdrives available as I had in my Explorer interface. And those hyperdrives provide me access to the information. So in this case, the README file is the file that I just changed through my experience. My session was expired. So if I download this file, as you can see, there are daily revisions being automatically stored. By downloading the file, you can see that the hello guys that I just typed also available now already from my data center through the web dashboard. So again, access anywhere, any place, any type of device, as long as it has a browser or has one of the native clients that we do support. Another great feature is theft guard. So I talked about the ability to remotely wipe your corporate information. So all the devices that do have a local cache are registered in your Hyperdrive account. So remotely, by accessing my web-based dashboard, I can say that a particular machine has been lost in a cab, for example, and by simply selecting the machine and telling the system that this machine has been stolen or has been lost, I can say, okay, the next time that this machine will have a connection, I want you to automatically wipe the entire enterprise data that was stored or cached on that device. So it's encrypted with a user certificate, and on top of that, you can remote wipe that encrypted information. So that is what we really call enterprise ready, really taking into account those security policies that are required for enterprise solutions. So that was a quick demo of what I can show you through a webinar. We do have native iPad, iPhone clients, Android clients. We are waiting for the approval for the Windows Phone client and the BlackBerry client. So all those devices have native clients that allow you access to your company data that is stored in your own data center and that is exposed through the virtual appliance from RES Hyperdrive.
Well, perfect.
So just let me know if you want an account on our infrastructure or you want me to help you set it up in your infrastructure.
Bob, that's amazing. I really like that. Guys out there listening, you've asked a few questions. But if you have any other questions, now's the time. So please use the question piece, and Bob will answer them. It's pretty straightforward, though. That's what's really nice about this. This is very straightforward, right, Bob?
Yeah, absolutely. The challenge for us as RES Software, the biggest challenge in creating this solution was making it as easy to use as all our other products. So we want IT administrators to set this infrastructure up in 15 minutes. Otherwise, we wouldn't have delivered this solution the way we did it today. So if we quickly look to the benefits of the RES Hyperdrive solution, as I've shown you, it's very easy to use for end users. It doesn't need a huge manual to understand how it works. It does provide you seamless access on all your devices. You can ad hoc share information with people outside your company or within your company. And because it's a solution that can be installed in the data center, it is endorsed by corporate IT. It is a very secure solution. As I said, it's really designed around security, so all local caches are encrypted, AES 265 algorithms are being used. The data in your data center can be encrypted if you want it to be encrypted as well. All the communication between endpoints and the device is being encrypted, so between the virtual appliance and the endpoint is being encrypted. So it is a really, really secure solution. So those security policies that you have in place shouldn't have a problem with the RES Hyperdrive solution. If we look to the IT organization, because it's a secure on-premise solution, it's for them easy to use and to start using. And we provide a very easy to use web-based setup wizard on the virtual appliance. So by setting up the virtual appliance, you will just need to import the, of course, virtual appliance in your hypervisor. Then when you boot it up, we will ask you an IP address. We will ask you your default gateway. Those are the minimums that we need. And then the device will be rebooted and you will be shown a URL that you can go to. And from there are just 7 easy steps. You need to fill in some information about Active Directory, about an external database for meta information, about your storage. And then at the last commit button, everything will be set up for you. So that is why this can be set up within 15 minutes. And we think it's quite an innovative approach because RES Software has always been a company taking care of the end users and providing those solutions for IT organizations to serve those end users. So it's an end-to-end solution. We provide a very flexible subscription model, so it's really pay-as-you-go to start using this solution. And we are independent from any virtualization technology or cloud provider because with this solution you provide your data cloud provider for your consumers. So we think with Hyperdrive, the IT organization is back in control and they can deliver a secure file sharing solution that provides access anywhere and that take that's taken care of very flexible synchronization. And also, what I didn't show you, but the flexible synchronization, you can also have filters on what type of files should be synchronized or not. So you might want to prevent ISO images from being synchronized to your central data center. Those kind of filters can also be set up within the RES Hyperdrive solution. So I think that's about it. And this is the last slide, really talking about RES Software believes in IT should be served to our consumers. So IT as a service for the IT organizations, where it automatically becomes IT is a service for the consumers. And by having these kind of solutions, and of course there are many other solutions out there, it's really up to the end user, the IT organization, to pick the right one that fits their needs. But those do allow you to embrace the consumerization of IT instead of trying to keep them out, because that is a fight that we have done for years and we cannot keep up with it anymore. And by really delivering IT as a service, serving our consumers, we still will be able to deliver the best services with the highest security against the lowest cost. So this is really what RES Software is all about. So I'm really looking forward to the questions, Doug. So are there any new questions?
There are no new questions. You did such a good job. And like you said, it's just very straightforward. So guys, if you do have any more questions, please feel free to ask them right now, or we'll probably end this webinar. But I guess, I have a couple questions. The big one being, where do I get this? Probably ressoftware.com, right?
Correct. So if you go to our website and you look to the products, you go to the RES Hyperdrive product page, and from there you can download an evaluation copy. The evaluation copy allows you to install it. You can use it for an unlimited amount of users for 45 days for desktop applications. But the great thing is that you can even use your access from iOS devices to your Hyperdrive Virtual Appliance free of charge. So the power of the solution is, of course, the synchronization of all the data on your desktops towards the central infrastructure, but the mobilization of their data, that's even free of charge. So I really would advise everybody to start downloading the Virtual Appliance, start playing with it, and you will see that it's very easy to access that information within your own infrastructure through all those mobile devices.
Perfect. We do have a couple more questions. How is it licensed? Per server, per user?
It is licensed per user, and it's licensed per Hyperdrive user. That means that if you have one or two users and they are sharing through a file link or folder link with 1,000 other users, you pay for those two. So all the users that have the desktop client installed, those users are being charged. So okay, it's per user per month.
But if I'm a user and I share that with with a customer of mine, that doesn't require two licenses. It's just it's my license,
it's just
right?
One license, correct.
Cool. And this is a question I sort of wanted to ask too, but I like the way this gentleman phrased it. Who do you see as the closest competitor in the follow me data? Can't see the rest of the question. Follow me data space. And I want to add on there, I know Citrix is doing some stuff too in this space.
Yeah.
How do you compare and contrast against that stuff?
Yeah, so there are many out there. If we talk about competitors, we really talk about solutions that you can download and buy today. So that does decrease the amount of competitors. If you look to Citrix, they also have a great solution. What I like about Citrix, it's not something they invented yesterday. It's a solution that has been out there for a while. It has been bought and incorporated in the Citrix offering, and it's also a solution that probably delivers the same kind of functionality. But there are slight differences, and that's really again up to the IT organization to decide what is important for them. So the Citrix solution, they will in the near future have on-premise storage, but the actual authentication is being done in the Citrix Cloud. So it's not 100% on-premise. You are still depending on the Citrix online organization for the federation for the authentication of access to your data. And then from there, they will have zones that will reach out to your local data center. And for many, many organizations, that can also be a great solution. So it's really about your organization and the needs and the security policy of your organization that fit those needs. If we look to the explicit set of capabilities that RES Hyperdrive offers, there are not many big competitors out there today that you can buy today. We do expect, of course, a lot of other companies building this great solution, and personally I think that's a good thing for the customers, so they can make the right choice and pick the solution that fits them best.
Makes sense.
So sorry that I wasn't able to mention this is the biggest one, but unfortunately there aren't many out there today that you can buy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, next question is, on tablets and phones, is data is the data containerized to prevent leakage?
Yeah, so all the applications, all the storage that we use on mobile devices do have their own encrypted container where the data is stored and where the data will reside. So also the local cache for an iPad application, for example, is containerized and encrypted on the device itself. Yeah.
Perfect, perfect. This is a good question too. Any two-factor authentication integration yet?
Not yet. We have had the request already several times, so it's absolutely something that we will look into in the near future.
Perfect. That's so far all the questions we have. So guys, if there's any more questions, please use the questions piece to go to webinar, and we'll get those. If not, we'll call this a webinar. Bob, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. I very much enjoyed it. And of course, guys, we recorded this webinar. So if you enjoyed it, want to share it with a friend or maybe your boss, right? Colleague or what have you, you will look to DABCC.com in the next couple days, and we'll get this up there for you. And of course, always head over to our to ressoftware.com for more information. And I'm very impressed with this. I was impressed when you guys released it. And the big thing I think that's neat about this is that it's not the cloud, but yet you're getting the cloud benefits. But it's all the IT. I don't have to. When the first cloud first came out, one of my biggest problems with it, you probably heard me complain about it, was I don't know who's managing my stuff, right? And what's neat about Hyperdrive is that I'm managing my stuff, but I'm leveraging this thing called the internet, or some people call it the cloud, to get that information out to people any place, anywhere, anytime. Right, Bob?
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's really providing the right solutions for IT to be in control over what their consumers want them to deliver. It sounds easy, but it's challenging for all of us.
Yeah. Well, that's the goal, right? Is to make it sound easy. That means you did you did your job. If it's complex, then yeah, that's probably cool for us administrators, but definitely not cool for the end users, right?
No, absolutely.
So there's no other questions, so let's just go ahead and end this webinar. Again, Bob, thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
You're welcome. And I want to thank all the audience as well for attending this webinar. Great feedback, great questions, so thanks for that.
Thank you. And then, of course, I want to thank everyone out there, too. So, again, stay tuned to DABCC.com for more information. Definitely, we have an RES software page over there, too. So if you go to DABCC.com and look on the left menu, you'll see RES software, and there's tons of good information on there about Hyperdrive and all their different solutions. So